Welcome into another episode of the Inside Voice podcast. If you're new here, we like to start things off with some good news. I know these days when it comes to media, if it bleeds, it leads, but we don't believe that here. If it glees, it leads. How about that? I just made that up in my head. We like positivity. We like happiness here. We like starting off with good news. And so I want to share something with you. I follow a lot of good news profiles on social media. Obviously, with everything with social media, take it with a grain of salt. But if you're a millennial, you remember growing up and a lot of the messaging around us on like PBS, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, like everything was recycle, reduce, reuse, and conservation efforts. Conservation efforts with environment, water, all sorts of stuff. And so this feels like such a win for us millennials. Like, we did it, okay? This has to do with conservation efforts. This comes from Global Positive News, talking about how wildlife is really making a comeback across the globe because of the efforts that have been put into place to conserve habitats and environments across the globe. And it says in the caption, from marine reserves protecting ocean life to species returning to habitats they had long disappeared from, these wins highlight the impact of consistent action. In some regions, animals are reclaiming ecosystems thanks to restored habitats and reduced human pressure. Basically getting humans out of there. My husband and I, we were just on vacation, which is our topic of conversation today. And we took some family members to the British Virgin Islands. We've been there a couple of times now, and just, we love it every single time. But like seeing the animals I love it. Like we snorkel and we see the fish, and we see, like this past time we saw stingrays, sea turtles constantly, of course, birds everywhere. There's also goats that live on like some of the mountains, on some of the islands. So just seeing that wildlife, like growing up where I grew up on 40 acres in the mountains of California, like I love nature. I love wildlife. So it like feeds my soul. But just thinking about the good news about conservation efforts, even in places where there is human pressure, as they call it in that post, it's great to see that we can still enjoy being in habitats of animals that maybe are not our space, like it's designated for them. It's very much their turf, like the ocean. It's nice to know that like we can both thrive and still be able to enjoy it. Does that make sense? Like the animals can thrive in their environment and we can still like observe them and feel like we're connected to them in that sense. Like that to me is just so beautiful. So love that that's happening. Love when we see like, oh, this species was once endangered, but they're not anymore. Like I love those. So good news to start off with. Speaking of vacation, you should take one. And I know that I'm still like basking in the afterglow of coming off of a vacation, but we've talked about this before on the Inside Voice podcast because I think oftentimes people don't utilize their PTO. Maybe this next generation of Gen Z that, they're not worried about staying at a job for 20, 30, 40 years. Like they'll bounce around if they're not happy. Maybe this isn't such the case for that generation, but maybe millennials and older, we've kind of always been taught, again, this messaging around us growing up is like, dream big, get out there, hustle, make it happen. Like we wear this idea of busyness and overwhelm and stress as a badge of honor. Like how many times do you hear a millennial say, like when you ask them, oh, how are you doing? They're like, oh, I'm just so busy. Like that just rolls off the tongue, but it's like, no, I'm not asking about your task list. I'm not asking about your schedule or your to-do list. I want to know how you are. You know what I mean? But oftentimes like that's what we hide behind. Oh, I'm just so busy. I'm just so busy. I've got so much going on. I'm doing this and doing that. But we're not even like ashamed to say it. It's like we want people to know we're busy. We want people to know how stressed out we are because that means we're important. That means we're doing things. That means that progress is being made and that should be praised and worshiped. You know what I mean? But as we've talked about before, even, when we talked about taking a Sabbath on a regular basis, we need to be able to take a break. We need to be able to step away, recharge our batteries and come back. I work in a job where I have to be on. And I have a side hustle, a side gig, a hobby, a passion project, this podcast where I'm also on, you know what I mean? But being in the broadcast industry, doing a radio show, creating content for social media, it's very creative and it is an on forward facing, people facing career and job. And it gets overwhelming. And forced creativity over and over and over again gets old. And so being able to get away from that, to get into a space where I can just check out, zone out, lay in the sun, lay in the ocean, eat good food, be with people that I love, not have to speak if I don't want to speak, I feel like is so beneficial for me coming back. And the times that I come back from a vacation, even if it's just a couple of days, not like a full week or anything, I feel so much more alive. I feel like the creative juices are flowing a little bit better. So there's benefits to getting away. There's benefits to taking a break, whether you're in a creative field or not. Just stepping away from the thing for just a moment to breathe gives you new vision, gives you new clarity and new light. Starts to shine on the task at hand, on the job that you do every single day. They always say that everything works better if you unplug it for a little bit. Like if your phone's not acting right, if your computer's extra slow, rebooting and restarting is great, but sometimes you just need like a full shutdown and a restart, like a full shutdown, leave it alone for a second, and then turn it back on. Recently, we've been having some issues with our internet, which is just so lovely in 2026, right? When the entire world operates on internet, it stinks when you don't have it. And so we were having trouble with it, and we tried everything. We tried unplugging it at the router for a couple of seconds and plugging it back in. And we tried a full reboot where we unplugged the entire thing from the wall and let it sit for like an hour and then plugged it back in. And it just was struggling to work again. But oftentimes the easiest fix is just to unplug it for a little bit and let it recharge, like let it figure itself out. My engineer told me with my computer, I need to restart it every single day because it clears out the stuff that it's no longer using. It clears out the clutter, if you will. You might be feeling clutter in your life if you're feeling burnout, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you find yourself just lashing out at like these smallest little things, like the little things just get under your skin. Like maybe you're in traffic and somebody's just going, maybe they're going the speed limit, right? But in your opinion, they should be going 5 over the speed limit. That is a reasonable speed. And so you just find yourself like honking the horn, tailgating, like getting really upset, a lot of road rage. And that's not normal for you, maybe. It might be because you need to unplug yourself for a little bit before plugging back in. And this can pertain to your job. This can pertain to your life. This can pertain to responsibilities that you have. Again, we have an entire episode about taking a Sabbath. For me, it started as a social media Sabbath, but also a Sabbath away from the tasks and the normalcy of life and just kind of being quiet for a little bit, that's beneficial. So while we're talking about vacation, try to think about this in ways that aren't necessarily, this is my 9 to 5 and I need to get away from it. But how can you steal away moments for yourself, steal away nights or hours of the day, or even an entire day once a week or every other week where you can just check out, unplug, and recharge those batteries. Now, when it comes to vacations, I think there are 3 specific vacations that we should absolutely be taking on a regular basis. The first one is the big, loud vacation. This is the whole to-do vacation. Maybe this is your dream vacation. Maybe this is the one where you're like, I've been saving for the last year to go to Spain, or I really want to take this cruise with my family, or this is the year that we all go to Disney World, whatever it may be. You need the big vacation. And I'm not at all saying that you need to go bankrupt to go on this vacation, or that you're a bad person if you haven't taken a big vacation like this, but there is benefit to being in a space that is so outside of the norm, like international travel. I love it. It is harder to make happen. There's more things that go into it, but I love it because it takes me completely out of my element. I'm in a different country with different languages, different food, different cultural norms, and it removes me from me in a way that ignites inspiration and imagination and wonder. And I think we need that in our life. Like, we need to have those big vacations, especially the ones that are dream vacations, the ones that you have been thinking about since you were 7 years old. Or maybe the one that's like, oh man, we wanted to do this for our honeymoon, but we couldn't, but we've been, saving up for, our 5-year anniversary or something like that. There's something about working towards something that is so big and outside of normal everyday life that is extremely motivating, first and foremost. But then when you finally get to that moment, when you accomplish the thing, when you book the ticket, when you find yourself standing in front of the Eiffel Tower or whatever it is for you, you're like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like, I put in the effort, I made the time to make this happen, and here I am. Like, that is a huge sense of accomplishment. And those are like the wonderful cherries on top of life. You know what I mean? It's not just the big vacation, it's the fact that you made it happen. You accomplished it. You kept a promise to yourself. So you need those big vacations. You need those big experiences to really give yourself something to work for, to feel the satisfaction once you're in it. But I think the biggest takeaway is being so outside of your normalcy. I think about when you find yourself being really irritable, or you find yourself being snappy, or even just depressed or anxious. Sometimes I think depression and anxiety comes because we're so focused on ourselves, our lack, our wants, our desires, our comparison as we're looking at other people on social media. And sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, sometimes anxiety and depression can stem from us just being so self-focused. So when you get out of yourself, get out of your realm of routine, when you get into another country and you're around a ton of different strangers, like, it really does force you to get your mind off of yourself, which is a good thing. We should be doing that on the regular. So that's the first vacation that I really want you to try to work into your calendar, to try to work into some sort of year-long, 5-year-long plan, whatever it may be. And I come from a family where, like, we did not do vacations like that growing up. Our vacations were, we went to go see grandma and our cousins, and we loved it. Don't get me wrong. But we would travel to see extended family in the summertime and at Christmas time. And I always looked forward to it. But we didn't do, like, my husband, like, he had grandparents that would take them on vacation to, like, Russia, and they would do like a cruise, or they would go to New York and stuff like that. Like, I didn't really do anything like that until I was about 17 years old. And that was because I went with somebody else on vacation. If you can make it happen, even just getting out of the state that you live in to a new state, a new region, a new topography, like maybe you live in the city, get to the mountains. Maybe you live in the mountains, go to the city. Just something that gets you out of your regular environment is incredibly valuable. So if you can make that happen, please put that as a priority on your list to make a big vacation happen, whether it's you and your spouse, solo vacation, family vacation, whatever it is. The next vacation that I want you to think about is the recharge vacation. This is the one that I think is most common, yet we have a hard time doing it right. The recharge vacation may not be the massive extended travel, extended stay, extended expenses. It might just be the vacation where you're like, I'm getting away from work for 5 days. I'm taking a long extended weekend. I'm tacking on another day to a holiday weekend. Like, I'm just getting away for more than just a couple of hours or just a day from work or a normal weekend. These vacations can involve travel. They can involve going to see family. They can involve just stepping, going and staying in a hotel, having a staycation and playing tourist in your own hometown. Again, the idea here is to forget about work, to get out of your normal routine, and to experience something new. I would also say that a recharge vacation would be you staying at home, but like unplugging everything. Not scrolling on social media, not, just binge watching your favorite shows, but maybe exploring different hobbies. There are things that I want to do. I call it my magic list. Things that either I did as a kid or I haven't done in a long time or I've never done before that I'm like, I want to try that. One of them is horseback riding. I have not done that in forever. Like a recharge vacation would be taking a PTO to go horseback riding. If I can't fit it into my normal schedule, take a vacation day and just go make it happen guilt-free. This is an opportunity for you to add some color to your normal routine. It's an opportunity for you to take the PTO that your company has given you and actually use it. Maybe you just need a day where you're like, I just need to sleep. My dad was always a huge advocate for this. My dad was a police officer for 22 years. And he said, sometimes you just need, and this was before it was like a catchy millennial term, but like sometimes you just need a mental health day. That's basically what he was saying back in the day when he was like, your personal time, your sick days, those are your days to use. And if you're feeling like I'm burnt out, I'm at my end, and if I show up to that office, I may pop off on my coworker or my boss in a way that is totally inappropriate, take a sick day. Take a day to just breathe. You know what I mean? So really take advantage of just recharge vacays. I think sometimes people don't take their PTO, their personal time off, because they feel like, well, I'm not doing an actual vacation. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not taking a big trip. So why would I take the vacation days? I'll just work and then relax in the evening. There's something about not working that is wonderful for you. Take advantage of it, okay? So we've got the big extravagant vacations, but we've also got days where we just step away for a little bit and say, you know what? That'll be somebody else's problem, or you know what? That'll be my problem when I come back, but I need to get out of here. And I would encourage you, if you're somebody that works from home, get away from home because technically that is also your office. I actually work from home. Spoiler alert. Sorry if I just, pulled the curtain back and revealed the wizard in radio broadcasting, but I was doing this before the pandemic, and then it became very normal in the pandemic for even broadcasters to work from home. But I have to be very aware of the fact that I live and work in the same space, and I need to get out of that space on a regular basis. That takes effort. That takes time. That takes planning. So do that for you. And, I would even incorporate stay-at-home parents in this. If you are a homemaker, if you are raising children, you don't have, this 9 to 5, you're more working like 5 a.m. to midnight each day, taking care of these kids. God bless. Please take some vacation. Try to figure out some PTO for yourself, okay? And if that means getting out of the house for a little bit, get out of the house for a little bit. If that means sticking the kids with grandma and grandpa so you and the spouse can, have a nice vacation, do that. If that means you guys just get away for a night and stay in a hotel for a night and play tourist in your own hometown and city, do it. Like, get away from the normal realm of what your work is. That is what the recharge vacation is all about. And those should be happening more regular than the big dream vacation. What should be happening every single day is another type of vacation that actually doesn't require PTO per se, but it does require boundaries, okay? If you're working a job and you are not taking a break, you are not even you're working through lunch and you're eating lunch at your desk, something is wrong, okay? I know that's harsh, and you're probably thinking, well, you don't know my job, you don't know the nature of it. And there's a lot of professions out there that I know nothing about, like being an ER nurse or something like that. I don't know, but I do think there is such value to taking breaks throughout the day to step away from whatever it is that you're working on. You're going to have to figure out how this is going to fit into your schedule. You're going to have to figure out how this is going to, work in your work routine and what's going to benefit you best. But regularly throughout the day, you do need to just step away for a second. This sounds so silly, but when I was working in radio, it was my second radio job. We had a cluster of 6 stations in one building. And that's when I learned that a lot of people in radio smoked. My first radio job was pretty chill. And it was constant that people were taking a smoke break. And I've never smoked, so I don't know what it's like to want a cigarette, but I related it to wanting to take a break and using, I'm sorry if this is offensive to anybody, but using that cigarette as a reason to take a break. I'm not saying that you need to smoke to take a break, but I am saying that maybe you need to find something that allows you to take a break. Maybe it's okay, I've got a walking pad in my office, so I'm going to take 10 minutes every single hour to check out and just walk on the walking pad. I actually walk around my kitchen. I try to, since I work from home, I try at the 50 mark of every single hour to get up and take steps and then come back and sit down. I'm going to tell you right now, it is wonderful. There are times that I'm very much tempted and sometimes succumb to the temptation of just working through the hour and like, oh, I'll take my 10 minutes next hour, it'll be fine. But the days that I stick to it and I do take that break and I get those steps in and I take 10 minutes each hour, I come back to my desk and I'm like, calm. I'm like, all right, what's the next task? Because I'm not stressed out of like, oh, I've got all this to do and I just want to break. It's like, no, you got 50 minutes, bust out whatever you need to do, and then take that 10 minutes. Leave your phone at your desk. Get out of the office and go take those steps, breathe, get some fresh air. If you can go outside, get some fresh air, get some sunlight on you. That's what I've been trying to do during my lunch hour. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. Take a lunch hour, please. I do a midday show and I'm constantly telling people that listen to my show when it's the lunch hour, since I'm on the air from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., I'm like, lunch hour is your time. Get off of Slack, get off of WhatsApp or whatever messaging system that your team is using, get off of your email, step away from your office and just take a moment. If your employer has a problem with that, you need to have a conversation with your employer about boundaries and about taking care of yourself, okay? A lunch hour is incredibly beneficial. Being able to step aside and actually enjoy your food, I feel like is an act of therapy. I feel like it's an opportunity for you to love on yourself a little bit, to show up for yourself emotionally and mentally so you're not completely burnt out or a complete wreck while you're at work. Where you can actually, enjoy yourself, enjoy your coworkers, bounce ideas off of one another. Like taking breaks, giving yourself those mini recharges throughout the day is so valuable. And I think I would even argue this, if your employer has a problem with it, tell them, look, if I don't take these breaks, you're actually going to get less of me. Okay, if you give me a chance to check out and recharge my batteries, I'm going to come back stronger, more creative, more intuitive, more inspired. I'm going to have more to give to you because I was able to get away from it for a second. Sometimes I think like when you're dealing with a problem and you can't figure out what the solution is, like our internet issue, it was like, let's just step away from this for a second and come back to it with fresh eyes, fresh perspective, fresh mindset. I'm not saying you need to procrastinate on things, but sometimes it's like I'm too stuck in it and stuck in the way I think it should work. I need to get away from it for a second and then come back at it with a fresh perspective, fresh eyes, and start again. You need to work these moments into your day. I think if you can work these into your day, if you can have just like little breaks throughout the day, little recharges, little checkouts, a lunch break where you eat good, nutritious food, where you hydrate. Maybe you take that hour and you just take a little snooze for 15 minutes, I wouldn't go, well, maybe like 20 minutes. I wouldn't go like the whole hour. That might ruin your entire day if you're not, typically a napper. But, just like a little simple 20-minute perk up nap, If you can work these into your day, I think your days will be better. And ultimately, your stress levels are going to go down. You're going to feel less anxious or depressed at work, irritable, annoyed with your coworkers. I've been trying really hard lately, like to not think I have to get it all done right then and there. I'll do as much as I can, but then I'll come to it when it makes more sense for me to get it done. I used to be the type that is like, well, if it showed up, I have to get it done now. And it's like, no. Nobody's expecting that of you. Just take a second, breathe. Get it done when you can do it the best. And I think that incorporating breaks into your day is a part of that. It's allowing you to structure your day where you're going to be able to operate at your best. And that's what we want to do, right? We do want to show up and perform well. We do want to do our job and do it well. We do want to honor the responsibilities that we've been given at our job. But I think sometimes we just get so stuck in our job and so just engrossed in it, and it's consuming us that we can't even do it well anymore. You know what I mean? There's actually been research to show how important it is for you to take these little like micro breaks throughout the day. They say that sitting is the new smoking. We just talked about smoking and smoke breaks, but it's actually very bad for your health. You're not active. This study that I saw, I wish I had the reference for it, but I was scrolling through, I follow Mighty Pursuit on Instagram. I want to say it came from that. But this researcher was saying that like 19-year-olds are now as sedentary as 60-year-olds. Like 19, you're supposed to be in your prime, moving and grooving, active, and they're more sedentary. Now, they were talking about screens, but I think also we've just, we sit at our desk and work. And while that used to be because we were just trying to get it all done and get it out, now it's like we sit at our desk and work. And then when we take a break from work, we pull out our phone. And it's like, no, 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 no. That's not actually taking a break. You need to get up from your desk, you know? It's good to get movement throughout the day, get the blood flowing, that kind of stuff. But also, your posture. Oftentimes when you're sitting, especially if you're working on a laptop, like you're hunched up like this, like or hunched over, not good. So being able to stand up, get the blood flowing, stretch a little bit, work on that posture a little bit, it's only going to lead to good things. Okay. And that's not even from a productivity standpoint. That's from a cardiovascular health standpoint. So I know that's a lot to take in. You probably thought, oh, she's just going to tell me to take my vacation days throughout the year. Yes, absolutely. Please do not let those go unused, especially if they don't carry over. If they don't carry over, use them. I remember putting in vacation one time with my boss, and it was the most days that I would be missing in a row. Like I've missed Monday through Friday before. I've missed 5 work days in a row consistently, but this was going to be 8 work days. It was like 1 week and then a weekend and then a couple days of the next week. And I'd never done that before. And I was like, I don't know what the rules are here. So I just asked her, I was like, can I do this? Can I take 8 consecutive work days off? And she was like, those are your vacation days to use however you want. She's like, you want to use all of your weeks in a row? Use all of your weeks in a row. Probably wouldn't be beneficial. Probably wouldn't work out well for me. Because that seems like a lot. But yeah, I mean, she was just so supportive. She was like, please use them and use them how you see fit. Do not let them go by the wayside and, go wasted and unused. I'm encouraging you to do the same thing. Take the vacation days. If you're worried about them being declined, oftentimes people don't put in for vacation because they're worried about, well, what if they say that I can't take the day off? Well, then they say you can't take the day off. But you probably can because it's your vacation day, right? Get familiar with your company's policy. I know people that work for companies that have unlimited PTO. And I'm like, how does that work? You got people just like gone for 6 months out of the year. And she goes, you'd be surprised how many people don't actually use their vacation or they take very little of it. So honestly, like it's an incentive for companies to say unlimited PTO. This is what I've been told. Because that gets people to want to work there, but then they probably aren't going to use all that PTO. You know what I mean? They're not going to use it to the point where it's detrimental to the company. Gosh, I kind of want to take one of those jobs and just see how far I can push it if I was reckless like that. But please, again, use those vacation days. Even if you don't work for a company, if you work for yourself, get away from your business for a little bit. You have to recharge. If you are a stay-at-home parent, if you homeschool your kids, get away from that for a little bit. Somehow, some way, work it out, make it happen, okay? There are people around you that want to help. I promise you. And if you go to them and say, look, I'm at my wit's end and I need some time, they'd be like, absolutely, how can I help? Like, people want to support you. It's okay to ask for that help, okay? So even if you're not working for a company, you still need to take a break. Try to figure out how to do a big vacation if you can. Try to figure out how to work in recharge days throughout the year. And also try to work in those little mini vacations as you can, little mini checkouts throughout the day that will help your days ultimately be better. So you're not getting to that point where you're just completely worn out, okay? I'm sure you thought this vacation episode was going to be a little bit different, but I appreciate you being here and sitting through it. Again, like the old adage says, the old phrase, everything works better if you unplug it for a little bit. So I want to encourage you to unplug for a little bit, Could be an actual digital unplug. It could be, just physically getting out of the office for a little bit. Do what you need to do to not let yourself get to that point of complete burnout. And if you are a millennial, I need you to hear this. Your worth is not in your productivity. Your worth is not in your accomplishments. Your worth is in Jesus Christ. He made you. He formed you. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. If you are succeeding in certain areas, if you are achieving in certain areas, great. But it is not your identity, okay? What you do is not your identity. I feel like somebody needed to hear that because that just came to me. I was not planning on saying that. Make it a good week for yourself. Take some little mini breaks throughout the day, and let's put a vacation on the calendar, shall we? I'll see you next week.